So it's all like a mindset shift. Every time something pops into my head that's, a fear, it's okay, is it going to kill me or do I need to challenge it? And I love challenges. So I'm like, okay, let's put it to the test.
Welcome to the Raising Wild Hearts podcast. I'm so glad you're here listening in as I get to the heart of the matter with the world's leading experts and authors in personal growth, transformation, positive psychology, and more. If you're a change maker, a cycle breaker, a revolutionary envisioning a more beautiful way to live, work, and play, well, me too. I'm your host, Ryan Watkin, and for the past decade, I've been alchemizing challenges to find the calm in the chaos. I believe we can change the world by starting at home in our own minds and hearts. And my hope is that these conversations are a light on your path. Let's go, wild ones. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Raising Wild Hearts podcast. This is Ryan, and I am so excited that you're here to join me for another interview. Today, I am sitting down with Kaylea Van Arsdale. She's a business and life coach with a master's in psychology and over 14 years of experience in coaching and operations management. She helps women entrepreneurs scale their businesses with courses, communities, and masterminds while creating their dream lives with an approach that focuses on resilience, accountability, and actionable strategies to inspire transformation. And this conversation was certainly inspiring. Kaylea did have challenges in her life that range from physical abuse to sexual abuse, and we do touch on those things. FYI, the conversation does end on a lighter note. So we bring it up at the end. So if that's something that you can't handle hearing right now, then this is probably a good one to skip. But if you want to hear a story of tragedy to triumph and how Kaylea has totally turned the tables and built her dream life, then stay tuned because this one is for you. We cover so much in this conversation. We talk about familiar versus healthy relationships. We talk about abuse a little bit and Kaylea's background. We talk about children and how they help us summon the strength to leave bad situations. We talk about business. We talk about dreaming big. We talk about boundaries and so much more. So I hope you guys love this conversation. If you feel inspired by it and know someone else who it would help, just send them a text with the link to listen. Make sure you're following along by subscribing and following on Apple or Spotify or wherever you're listening right now. All right, y'all. Thanks for being here. I will talk to you soon.
Please note, the opinions and perspectives of guests on the Raising Wild Hearts podcast do not necessarily reflect the views of Ryan Watkin or anyone associated with the Raising Wild Hearts podcast.
Hi, Kaylea. Welcome to the Raising Wild Hearts podcast.
Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, totally. I'm very excited to chat with you about all the things. I have a feeling this conversation will be profound. And the first place I want to start in reflecting on this conversation, I thought back to little me, of course. I was a baby and born into an abusive relationship. My biological father and my mother had a really chaotic marriage and relationship. And she left him when I think I was like 3. Maybe I was 2-ish. And so there's some parallels with your story. And so I think about the babies in these situations and how they, me, your baby, other babies, give mothers, humans, the strength and reason to leave. Because sometimes even if we can't do something for ourselves, we look at this child or the next generation even and we go, I'm going to summon up the strength to do this for something bigger than me. So let's talk about that moment for you. How was it that you had this internal intervention and you knew how impactful it would be for future generations for you to leave something that, though it maybe felt comfortable, was not healthy for you?
Yeah, I like that you bring up the point of the babies. And I too was a baby and then, born into an abusive relationship. And it really does bring the parallels with her story and mine as well, in that when my child was 2, he walked in on my abuser holding me down, screaming in my face. And my mother had told me the exact same story about when she left my biological father. My brother had walked in and had seen the same thing. And so when it happened to me, I was like, geez, I have just repeated this, and my child is 2, and they're seeing this. And if I don't take a stand now, that's it. Like, I'm just accepting that this is my life, and I'm accepting that this is the life I want to display to my child. And yeah, I did not have the strength. He had torn me down to a shell of a person over years. And so by the end of it, if I did not have my child there, I would have stayed. I had nothing. I didn't even know who I was. He had separated me from my support. He had surrounded me around friends that were only out for his best interest. And I had no money. So I was just kind of trapped. And my 2-year-old gave me that strength. It was like I didn't have it myself, but they loaned me temporary strength so I could get out of there for them. And yeah, I'm very thankful that I did. And I will say that even after I left, the first month was very difficult, and that my mindset was, am I doing the right thing? Is this really what's right for my child? They deserve to have a biological father in their life So I had to really come to terms with okay, they deserve to have this person in their life. They hadn't abused the child, so I need to try to foster that kind of relationship, but at the same time understanding that relationship wouldn't be for me anymore, that I could not go back to be with this person. So I moved in with my mother, who thankfully gave me that support, and we stayed up late playing cards, drinking coffee, and talking, because she knew that night times were when the thoughts would start to creep in the most of I should go back. And so she distracted me and provided me with the support that really got me to the point where I was like, okay, I feel strong enough now that I can start going after what I want and really figuring that out. And yeah, thankfully, I am now married. We've been together for 10 years, and we have not one time had an argument. We just talk. We communicate with love. Even on the difficult issues, we just talk plainly. And that's because I set really firm boundaries around how I would be talked to and treated, because I couldn't do that again. I couldn't be yelled at again. So it gave me the strength to really set up my life in a way that I didn't have to go back to that. Mm-hmm. And I didn't bring my child back into that situation. And thankfully, they're thriving now as well.
Yeah. Statistics point to that abusive relationships can be deathly for women, that many women end up dying at the hands of their abusers. And that was something that I learned not too long ago. And I thought oh my God, because my mom left, she got me out of there. And so actually I don't have any conscious memory of anything. I'm sure, many things lived somatically in me for a number of years, and I've, done the work to kind of process through many of those layers. But my heart goes out to these women who don't have the strength to leave, and then it ends up in the worst possible scenario they could ever be in. And I wonder if you have a sense of how, if someone is in an abusive relationship, or what's a way that we as a community, as humans, can serve these people? Do we go out to volunteer in a shelter? Do we what do we do? Like, how do we change it?
Yeah. So number one, silence is a big killer. Is just remaining silent, being complacent with the treatment of other women and stuff. And I've seen videos where they do social experiments where a guy drops a drug into a drink and then sees how the people who are watching observe it. And a lot of the times the women are very coming forward like, hey, don't drink that. He drugged it. But I saw one where this woman was with her boyfriend and she went up to go and tell them and he stopped her. And he pulled her down, knowing that this person had essentially potentially drugged a drink, allowed it to happen. And she had to sit there and watch as this other woman took a drink of this suspectedly drugged drink. And that's the thing, is silence. We allow people to keep us silent. We allow our spouses, our friends, our family to be like, that's none of your business. Stay out of it. You don't want that drama in your life. But if you're not going to speak up, then who? And if you speaking up could save that one person's life, is it not worth it? And would you not want someone to speak up for you? Right? So, eliminating silence and the stigma, the negative stigma around it, understanding that we can communicate about the abuse and the violence and we can support each other through it. But we have to erase that kind of shame. It's not abnormal to get into an abusive relationship. It's kind of the opposite seems to be more of the rarity is oh, I'm in a perfectly healthy relationship. Seemed like a rarity for me because it was just one negative after another after another. So speaking up for other women, whether that's sharing your own story so that maybe you can inspire, connect with other women who are like, oh, I resonate with this story and she went through the exact same thing and this is what she did to get out of it, may give someone that encouragement to get out. It could be that you support, you volunteer your time for a shelter. Yeah, that's a potential. But then you're communicating with the people in the shelter to really inspire and motivate change within them. And it's not an overnight change. I had people telling me I should leave my abusers on multiple occasions, right? But eventually it became so much. It was everyone's telling me this. Maybe I should listen and actually leave. So it's if someone's not receptive to your advice and support, that doesn't mean you just quit and let them continue to suffer. It's still hey, yeah, you're still in this really terrible relationship. Do you need help? And then offering help in whatever way you can, whether that's support, whether that's providing them with different resources, or even just, money and helping them transition out of that state, whether it's driving to their house and packing up their stuff with them and driving them away. It's difficult, but that's what they really need is that difficult support because the abuse happens over a long period of time. It starts to destroy their strength and their ability to get out themselves. And so having that outside support is vital for their success. And I'll also say that while I don't know if he would have killed me, when I left, he had spread rumors that I had died. So, it's it just get out. Obviously he didn't really care because he told everyone I had died. I don't know what he told people about our child. Maybe he told them that he died as well because he eventually signed away his rights to him. So I'm very thankful on that. But, just provide support, help people understand that they have options.
Hey, it's me, Ryan. So something I do every single day to invest in my growth, besides connecting with the humans on this podcast, obviously, is reading. Reading is where it all started for me. I was 5 when I became obsessed with books, writing them, reading them, collecting them. I love how I can get inspired with new ideas and stories and ways to grow. That's why I ask all my guests what they're reading. And finally, you can check out all the book recommendations from the experts and authors on the show in one place at raisingwildhearts.com/books. There are some life changers in there, like You Are the Placebo, and a few hidden gems like Sacred Motherhood and Living, Loving, and Learning. So, if you want to get your hands on your next great read, check out the full list by heading to raisingwildhearts.com/books. Okay, back to the show. Yeah, I love that. What I thought of when you were talking about standing up for people, I thought of standing in our own power, and even to take that a step further, to teach our kids to stand in their own power and lead with integrity and do the right thing, like when no one's looking. And I feel like this is a big way to shift culture, is with our children, because these past abusers, these current abusers, I can imagine the horrific, lives that they've lived themselves in many, many cases. And while I'm not excusing violent behavior, I do still have this compassion for what that must be like to come from such a hard place that you are then physically, emotionally, mentally hurting another human. It's hard to grapple with, but I think we need to probably find some sort of compassion too, even though, that's not an easy thing to do. So have you found a way to forgive your past abusers? Like, how have you dealt with that in your own life?
Yeah, so I was abused as a child as well. So I went through 9 years of childhood sexual abuse. And I say it really impacted the way that I led my life after that and the attention that I sought. And so, I understand that the people that were abusing me were also likely abused and had to go through different, experiences themselves. And I have forgiven. I don't know that I have, I haven't forgotten, of course. I have forgiven, in that I understand that they did not have the support that they needed to be, to stop doing that, I guess, to keep them from that. I do think it starts with environment and, the support you get as a child, because I know that if I had stayed, my 2-year-old would have thought this is a healthy relationship. This is what love looks like. So I'm going to repeat it, or I'm going to accept this treatment for myself. And my mom accepted it. So this just must be how relationships are. Everyone argues. So, why are us yelling at each other at the top of our lungs? It's just normal. And that's where the cycle continues until you go, no, that's not, doesn't have to be the case. That doesn't have to be normal. And then you start to make those changes. And I've seen changes in my child. Now, when I left with them, and my mother had even noted, they seemed so sad. They seemed like an old man, is what they called him. He was 2 years old, and they're like, he's an old man. And I'm like, yeah, he's kind of seen a lot. He's kind of processing, and we're doing this change where we're in a different environment. He's not around the biological father. He's not around his half-brother. And that was another thing that had kept me pulling back, was that half-brother, like, oh, he deserves to be with his sibling, and I should be there to support that half-brother and all this other stuff, right? But I knew that I needed to get my child into an environment that could really be really positive and healthy, so that they didn't have to deal with the junk I went through. That they actually learned how to communicate calmly and effectively. They learned how to work through their emotions and hormones and all this other stuff. And in doing so, I have seen that my child, who's now almost 13, they bring up points when they're like, oh, that's not a healthy way to communicate to somebody when they see it on movies or TV. They're like, wow, if they would just sit down and talk. And I'm like, yes, right? So you can see they are a product of their environment, where I was put in, this negative environment, and I sought negative relationships, and I accepted negative reactions and stuff, to my child, who I put them in this environment where there is not that negativity around, where we're really focused on creating a healthy, communicated environment. And I can see that, like, oh, it's really affecting them on a positive level, where they're starting to be like, that's not healthy. They need to talk it out.
Yeah.
And if more kids were around that, then eventually we would hopefully have a society where abuse is down and people are actually talking.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds like such a simple thing. Like, let's just communicate. But so many people were modeled really, really terrible ways to communicate, or just shutting down completely.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting because I think for me, it's been such an integration process to live healthily, communicate in healthy ways, really intentionally build healthy relationships. So, because for many who have grown up in chaotic environments, who have been abused, that feels familiar. It's not healthy. It's not quote unquote right, but it's familiar. So we think, which you already said, that, oh, this is normal. This is how people communicate. This is how people deal with one another. So how is that kind of titration process for you in like baby steps, building this self-worth, building this way to communicate with your son and your new partner and all the people?
Yeah. So after I left my ex, it took me about 1 month to realize, no, I'm not going back. Number 2, I deserve better. Number 3, love does not just exist in the movies. It can't be like that. And if it doesn't, then I deserve to have that kind of, fantasy romance. Why not me? So I started going on so many first dates, so many different people. I'm like, I have an idea of what I want. And if they don't fit that, they're out. Like, I understand that not everybody's the right fit for everybody. So I shouldn't be trying to make something just work with this person because I went on a date. That's ridiculous. So so many first dates, my stepdad was like, wow, you're being so picky. You shouldn't be this picky. And I'm like, that guy was breathing through his mouth. It was driving me crazy. I wanted to smother him, and we're on our first date. This isn't a healthy relationship. Right. Like, that's not something I can change. It's not going to work. So, and it's okay that I'm picky. This is the rest of my life. Why shouldn't I be picky? Right. And I guess there is that stigma around like, oh, you shouldn't be so picky. Why? Go ahead, be picky. Because if you say yes to everything, you're saying no to the stuff you really want. You're not giving, if I said yes to that person, I wouldn't have met my husband, who's freaking phenomenal. So it's okay to say no to people. And once I found him, it was very clear communication. This is what I want. Do you want this? I'm a package deal. I come with a kid. I need somebody who's going to be a father figure and treat my kid like their own. Can you do that? If you're not capable, you're out. Do you want another kid? Because I might want another kid. Is that something in your future? No, then you're out, because I don't want to feel like arguing with somebody about having kids. I've been there, done that. Wasn't fun. So set really clear things. And then once I found them, it was very clear communication about what I needed and where I was at, and then communication about what he needed, where he was at. So for me, I was like, I'm still healing from trauma. So I need certain things. I need, number 1, do not yell at me. If you yell at me, I shut down. That's not healthy for our relationship. I don't want that. Don't lie to me. If you lie to me, I can't believe anything you say. I've been lied to too many times. That's not healthy for our relationship. Just come to me. It doesn't matter what you have to come to me with. Like, I can understand more than likely. Just give me an opportunity to. And I may have insecurities because my ex was shipping in women from out of state and posting them up at his friend's house to go and fornicate with. So I might be insecure. And when I come to you with insecurities, I need you to know I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm just coming to you with like a piece of me that's broken and going, I feel insecure. Can you reassure me? And then he reassures me and demonstrates it with his actions. And it wasn't just one time. It was again and again and again. I would come forward and be like, I'm feeling insecure. Can you just reassure me?
Yeah.
And so it would do it again and again until eventually I don't need that reassurance anymore because he's fixed that part of me. And he really was patient with it as well. Like, it wasn't a quick heal thing, but it was something that was easier because we clearly communicated, like, this is what I need. I'm at this space in my life where I've been damaged. And if you want the best of me, you're going to need to help me.
Yeah.
And thankfully I had that with him.
It sounded like you were so like self-aware. Like, how did you come to all these conclusions? Did you journal? Did you do therapy? How did you realize to even communicate the underlying needs and the wants that you had?
I think it was just, I learned so many lessons from all my past relationships. And I was like, everything I learned was that communication has been the faulty part of everything, that I did not clearly communicate. Do not bring someone in from out of state and have sex with them, please. And so it, was essentially put on as my fault for not communicating that to them. And so afterward, I was like, I'm going to super over communicate everything because then you can't misinterpret what I'm saying if I said it. And that way, so, just being really clear about things that you would think are just supposed to be in a relationship is just don't cheat. I had to vocalize, don't cheat. If you cheat on me, I'm out. And making those clear boundaries, like, if you do this, I'm out, and sticking to it.
Right. It's not just an implied agreement. It's like you need to completely bear what it sounds like is that you're bearing your heart and your soul and saying, these are my wounds. This is what happened to me. I need to be clear about this and moving forward. And it sounds like, you've really taken those challenges and learned from them and transmuted them into positive, a life that you love, a business that you love, a family that's fulfilling, and that brings me to, you said, I think we should all have really big dreams. And so now you're essentially like living this dream life. You came from lots of struggle and you have built this life that you love. So what do you have to say to someone who might be struggling now, might have struggled in the past, and they don't know if they deserve to have dreams? They don't know what their dreams are. What would you say to someone like that?
So you're one in however many billion people on the earth. You are so unique. And the fact that you're here is a miracle. Now, you only have one life, essentially. So, depending upon your beliefs and whatnot, but you only have this life right now. So you have to really think, how do you want your story to be told? Do you want your story to be like, oh, she was a victim for all of her life until he killed her? She accepted all this abuse. Oh, of course, she just lets the guy run around and fornicate with everybody he wants. Or do you want it as a story of empowerment of like, yeah, I was there and it was hard and it took work. It wasn't overnight success. I had to actually work on myself first and then build my dream life around that and then my dream business. And it was one step at a time over the course of years, right? But it was intentional, like focused movement toward what I wanted and being very intentional about blocking out what I didn't want. So you have to get really clear. What do you want? Close your eyes and actually envision it. What does your morning look like? Are you getting up 10 a.m.? There's a window open and a breeze from the ocean floats through. You grab your coffee, you go sit out on a beach. You have a really relaxed morning. You get up, you have calls with clients. All of your bills are paid. There's no money stress. Your kids are playing happily outside. Your partner comes in and they give you a big old hug and kiss and say, I missed you. And then start to think, okay, who do I need to be to make that a reality? Because who I am now, that's not who is going to get this. Who I am now is accepting all this negativity in my life. I'm attracting it to myself by accepting it again and again. And if I want to have this dream life, I need to change. I need to become that person. And that person doesn't accept being cheated on or lied to or yelled at or abused. That person has a calm, loving, healthy environment. They have boundaries around how they'll be talked to and treated. They set their morning up to reflect how they want to start their day, right? So in order to be that person, you got to start making the notes of like, what do I need to change about myself in order to become her?
Amen. I love how you started that with how do you want your story to be? And what I picture when you say that is like a 90-something-year-old little lady, and like, what do you want her to say that she's most proud of? What do you want to say that her biggest accomplishments were? What do you want her to be doing? What do you want her to be feeling like? What does she look like? And I love how you started with the end in mind, because for so many of us, we get caught up in the hustle or the grind or this just kind of maybe even Groundhog Day mentality, where we just are kind of going through the motions, and then before you know it, there's like a life lived, and you know, this person is 80 or 90 and they're looking back with regrets and, you know, things that they didn't even realize at the time they wanted to do. And so to create that space, this is a theme on this show right now, to ask yourself, what do you want, is really powerful. And then you hit the nail on the head. Who do I have to be to make this happen? Because the person we are today is a reflection of all the choices that we've made up until right now. And all those choices add up to create a person and a life that you're living. And so, you know, a big part of this I'm hearing you say is this getting clear with yourself, who you are, what you want, you know, and going from there. And I love it. I want to pivot and talk about business. And I'm curious, you've built a very successful business, maybe multiple businesses, correct me if I'm wrong. And I just want to know, like, what your best business advice is for someone kind of in those beginning stages, maybe even someone in the dream phase of wanting to be an entrepreneur, wanting to start a small business or a big business.
Yeah, so I do have a 6-figure business, and I manage 2 other 7-figure businesses within my business. So I love education. I love making a big positive impact. It has been like a driver for me within my business life of like, if I could just impact one person's day, awesome. And our slogan at Managed by Magic is, if you have a wouldn't it be cool if idea, let's make it a reality, because it would be cool. Right? And I've helped people create books, create courses, masterminds, in-person events, businesses on property management, on investing, on financial education, on stock market trading, on massage, on yoga, on RV lifestyle. I've helped so many different people turn those wouldn't it be cool if ideas into reality. And it all really starts with that idea, like, oh, I have an idea. Usually that idea is like a fleeting thing, like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I wrote a book? Yeah, and then I get back to whatever I'm doing, where it's like, yeah, it would be cool. So what's stopping you from actually doing it? It's your mindset around it. So we work on fixing the mindset first and really helping to empower people going, I want to create a dream, to thinking, oh, I can create the dream next. And then it's like, all right, now that you have this like mindset where you're like, yeah, now I can do it. It's not just cool idea, but I could actually make that happen. Then we help people actually set up the steps to get there and providing, once again, clarity around what it is they want and how to get there. And once you get to that goal, amazing. but we don't stop growing. We're always changing. We're always evolving. So you likely have another wouldn't it be cool if idea. Let's connect it to that other idea and put that out there and help more people and impact more people. And so if you have a really big idea, just know that every big idea starts with an idea, the belief that I can do it, and then following steps to make it happen. One step at a time. It's not necessarily going to be made overnight. If you want to find assistance, there are tons of people out there who will help you make it into a reality. If you're wondering how to get started just gently within the online world, I suggest Upwork.com. It's where I got started finding clients as a virtual assistant until I eventually rebranded into operations management. I've made over $100,000 on Upwork.com. So I highly suggest it if you're wanting to just find little jobs here and there, especially if you're trying to get out of a negative situation. Having extra money on the side will be helpful. And that site allows you to do like copywriting, website design, all these other things. And then another tip is ChatGPT. Utilize AI to help you if you're feeling a little bit stuck. It is my go-to. I don't use Google anymore. I'm like, ChatGPT, tell me everything you know. And so it'll help you build out your actual plan. If you say, this is what I want to make, I don't know how to make it. Can you tell me what steps I need to make it? And it will help you every step of the way in creating that dream as well.
Cool. I want to know, what was your wouldn't it be cool if idea? Your first one.
Yeah, my first one. Oh, I've had so many of them. One was I wanted to create a dance troupe. I don't remember what they were called. It was way back when, like 15 years ago. And we performed at a couple of events, and we even performed House of Blues on a Halloween event in New Orleans. So like that was my first, like, wouldn't it be cool if? And then it spawned into like, oh, I really like working with communities. So I started creating different communities around different things. And then with my business, it was, wouldn't it be cool if I could work from home and take care of my child? And so that's where I started with Upwork. And then eventually it was, wouldn't it be cool if I took all the skills I learned over the years working as an executive assistant, a virtual assistant, and actually turned it into a business so I could scale my impact and help more people? And so I created a business. I got a team that could help facilitate that so we can help more people, because I'm only one person. I can only do so much. And so it was that. And then last year, or it was 2 years ago, wouldn't it be cool if I got my master's? And I inspired my mother to go and get hers as well. So we both went and got our masters. We both walked on stage at the same day for our degrees. And then late fall, I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we just started spreading awareness around the power and impact we're having and really inspire other people to change their lives? So what's a way we could do that? It's like really telling our story. And so I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if I did 50 podcasts for 2025? And I think I'm on number 15, and I have 15 more scheduled and ready to go. So we're over halfway there. And from that, I was able to get a summit speaking spot. I'm working on another summit speaking spot and potentially getting on stage. So every step of the way, there's just one after another, wouldn't it be cool if ideas, especially after you get one done. That's great. It was cool. Let's do another.
Yeah. So I love the way you tracked that, because what I heard is that not all of the ideas ended up in 7 or 6 figure businesses. Some of them just ended up in a really great experience, like the dance troupe. Like, it doesn't have to be this grand world or life-changing thing. You just start with little things. And what you said is so important, because when you see that you can accomplish the little thing, that's what shifts your belief, your step 2 after idea. That's what shifts the belief that you can actually create based on your ideas. So that's like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a good way. That's not like self-fulfilling prophecy like, oh man, there I went failing again. It's like, wow, I did something. And even if it's little or big, micro or macro, like to show yourself, to trust yourself, I think might be one of the most beautiful gifts of all.
100%. I think taking that time to recognize where you are now versus a year ago, 5 years ago, and whatnot. 5 years ago, I wasn't thinking about speaking at all. That wasn't in my, concept. It was, I'm working behind the scenes. I'm helping build people's businesses. People don't need to know who I am. I'm just making it all happen. And then eventually it became like, I'm changing as a person. I'm growing as a person. My business is growing. And now this is what I need to do for my next level, is really push the points of being uncomfortable, because on the outside of uncomfortable is where we make our growth.
Yep, for sure. On the last episode, we talked about getting to know fear, how to work with fear, why fear comes up. What's your take on fear versus intuition or anything relating to fear?
Yeah, so when I look at fear, I like to think first, okay, is this fear here because it's trying to keep me alive? Is it because like, oh, don't go near that snake, it could bite you? Or is that fear there to keep me living small? And if it's not going to keep me alive by not doing what I'm thinking of doing, like, afraid to go on stage. I'm afraid to start my business. I'm afraid to speak to people, afraid to post on social media, whatever it may be. If I post on social media, is it going to kill me? No. Then that fear is illogical. It's not there to keep me successful. It's there to keep me living small. And there will be fears every step of the way, the entire journey. Throughout the day, it'll pop up. And you have to question, do I want to accept this thought as my reality, or am I going to challenge it? And if you challenge it and you post on social media and you see like, oh, I didn't die, it wasn't terrible. Somebody commented and said, I really needed this today. It's like, wow, if I hadn't have done this, I wouldn't have helped this person who needed my messaging. And I would have just kept quiet because my fear told me to be quiet. And what a shame it would be to allow fear to keep you from helping other people. So it's all like a mindset shift. Every time something pops into my head that's, a fear, it's, okay, is it going to kill me, or do I need to challenge it? And I love challenges. So I'm like, okay, let's put it to the test. I take that as oh, you're afraid? Let's do it anyway then.
Right. What's interesting, and a through line that I've heard you talk about throughout your story, throughout your business journey, is service. Is you have decided that there is a mission bigger than just Kaylea, bigger than just your family. You've decided to put yourself, your skills, your gifts, your talents into service. And when I flip it that way of I am showing up to serve, then there is no fear that comes up because it's created and initiated in love.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And I think that's a good place to put it as like, figure out your why, and your why should be bigger than yourself. And then anytime you have something that challenges that, go back to your why. Like, why am I doing this?
That's right.
And it helps me, and just continuing to persist, to push on social media, to public, actually put out posts that are like, this supports my why. I really want to help other people. This message could help other people. If it goes out there and nobody responds, okay, maybe somebody saw it and they didn't respond. Maybe it helped in that way. Maybe someone will come back 3 months from now and see it and it make an impact, right? But at least I put it out there for somebody.
Yeah. What is your why these days? Like, what's your current North Star?
So my current North Star is helping women build their dream lives, dream business. So I have a community for women where each week we get together and we talk about their business, their life. We get into actual technicals of how to do things, building your website, writing a book, creating a course, all of that. But we also go into the mindset, the imposter syndrome, how to overcome that, and into the physical side of things. Because as women, there is just this hormonal roller coaster that occurs for a great big period of our lives that was not educated about growing up. And as an adult, I have found like, oh, on this week, I'm really hyper. I get a lot done. On this week, I probably shouldn't have podcast calls because I'm a little bit angry. So if I had, know these things, then I can schedule my life around my cycle and really help my cycle to amplify what I'm doing at that time. And so, like, an example is at the beginning of our cycles, we feel really engaged and wanting to create things. So we have big ideas. And this is the period where we're like, oh, let's put this idea into place. Let's put this idea and this idea. And then a couple weeks go by and our energy starts to lower. And now we have overstacked our responsibilities with all these ideas we created a couple weeks ago. So having clarity around where we're at in our cycle is like, oh, I'm on this part of my cycle. Only one idea this week, lady, because in a couple weeks, it's not there.
Yeah. I'm laughing because I'm in the second half of my cycle right now and my energy is starting to wane. And I'm like, okay, and I do cyclically schedule my calendar pretty much. And sometimes it's just not like actually logistically possible. But I do feel it on different days, different weeks. And, I think we were miseducated too on how to harness that power, because from where I'm standing, it is a superpower to be able to know that this certain week we are just like super women, and that this week we can just take it a little easier because we're not that we and that's okay. And so I think we were very miseducated. I think it was misunderstood. I think it still is in a lot of ways. But I love learning about cyclical living too, and putting it into practice as much as I can. And this week I am starting to kind of slow down on the ideas, slow down on the sociability, slow down on almost everything too.
And that's important for your health as well. Like it's, the 24-hour cycle of men is what society lives on.
Yep.
And so it's like, go, 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 go. And if you get caught up in that as a woman, you're going to quickly burn yourself out, because there are the period where we need to actually rest.
Yeah. It's advocating for myself, I've found.
Yes.
It's not letting the cultural expectation or the inner voice that I still sometimes have going, you should do this, you should push a little more, you should, and really just standing in what I know is healthy, loving, good for me.
And you deserve that.
Totally. Yeah. I'm taking that in and letting that land, because and you too, and everybody listening, and everybody everywhere. So this conversation was super impactful. Thank you so much. How do we find you, follow you? You mentioned your website, but tell me all the places where we can follow along on your journey, Kaylee.
Yeah, so you can find me at managedbymagic.com, where various resources available for you there, and a free discovery call where we can set up your dream life plan. So get clarity around that. And on there, you can find all of our socials, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. And we've got different things all over the place, always focusing on making a positive impact and educating and spreading positive awareness about how we can better change our lives.
Amazing. Thank you. And I'm going to ask you now the 3 questions that I ask everybody at the end of the interview. And the first one is, what's bringing you joy today?
Today, my children are bringing me joy. We have set up a movie date day.
Oh, movie date days are the best.
Yes.
I love that. That's sweet. It's such a simple thing, but super fun. We always look forward to our family movies too.
Yeah, it's just quality time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. What, if anything, are you reading right now?
So right now I'm reading, and it's right next to me, Period Power by Maisie Hill.
Perfect.
Freaking hilarious. I just finished In the Flow by Elisa Vitti.
Yeah. Yep.
So this one is phenomenal. I even suggested it to my sister who is starting her hormonal journey. And I'm like, hey, little sis, you're going to read this. So
Awesome.
yes.
That's great. And then my last question that I have for you is, who or what has taught you the most?
So I would say that what has taught me the most has been myself, and actually analyzing my experiences, kind of rediscovering my worth, and then persisting through everything that I have to continue to grow.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing the work in that, because you are making a difference. You're a force of positivity in the world and for the people that you serve. And I appreciate you. And thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you so much.
Hi again, friend. If you're listening to this, you made it to the end of a Raising Wild Hearts episode. Yay! Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you can hear more amazing conversations just like this one. And here's the deal. If you made it this far, go ahead and hop down on your podcast app and rate and review the show. Your words and 5 stars truly mean the world to me. Thank you for your support of the show. Thank you for showing up and listening week after week. I will be dropping new episodes every Monday, so tune in then, and I will talk to you soon.